Hi, thank you for coming to my presentation. My game is Beware the Bully. That's my capstone project. It is in room 271, which is on that side of the building, on this floor. Please play the game sometime tonight and check it out. My name is Al-Hassani. Just want to talk about a little of who I am real quick, just for any of you who are not familiar with who I am. And I'm going to be going through this real quick because I have a lot of things to cover within 20 minutes. I'm a game designer. I am the lead game designer for the Return of Etheria War of Realms game this semester. I have worked on the previous Return of Etheria game as well, but wasn't the game designer. Now I am. I'm also the president of the Game Developers Group at IUPY, which is the premier game development group on campus, and we are now currently an academic chapter of the IGDA, which is the International Game Developers Association. And I am the podcast host of Out of Continuous Podcast, which you can find at www.outofcontinuous.com. So obviously, as you can see, I have a lot of passion towards games. So it was a perfect fit for me to get into the game development field. So why am I making Beware the Bully? Other than the fact that it's my capstone project and I have to make a capstone project for graduation, I wanted to make a showpiece on my game design skills. I wanted to show something that I can make fun game mechanics, as well as show off my skills on level design, obstacles, pacing, and storytelling. I also wanted to make a game that sends a positive message. This positive message I wanted to send was anti-bullying, as well as non-violence. The main character will overcome the bully at the end of the game with a non-violent solution by gathering his friends and conjuring up courage. Also, kids are my target audience for this game, and that's what I wanted to do with Beware the Bully. So I had to make a game plan. First of all, I really wanted to make a game that's 100% original. I didn't want to use any type of assets, such as art assets or music or anything just found off the internet. I wanted this whole game built from the ground up to go towards this path of making a anti-bullying game. So to achieve this goal of 100% original game, I wanted to identify my limitations. I'm not a programmer, I'm not an artist, I'm not a musician, so I want to surround myself with a lot of talented people to work on this game. So I have my friend Andrew Fishback. He helped me with the art for this game. I have my friend Nathan Becker. He helped me with the music for this game. And then I got Matthew Powers and Travis Foz, who work here in the School of Informatics and Computing. They helped mentor me with the game design and programming. And I have Michelle Pun, who is a game designer at Zynga. She helped me as well with the game design. So I wanted to get as many talented people around me as possible to help me out. And also in my game plan, I identified that I wanted to make this a 2D game, just one less dimension to worry about. Simple as that. What am I going to use? I decided I'm going to use the Unity engine because I talked to professionals in the industry, and they told me that a professional game designer needs to know how to use either UDK or Unity or one of these popular game engines to get a job within the industry. So I chose Unity because UDK is impossible to work with in 2D, and Unity is a very powerful engine, so I decided to use that. And because I mentioned I'm not a programmer, I'm using a plugin called Playmaker that I purchased, which is visual scripting. Also, how am I going to utilize the anti-bullying theme into the game? I decided that I'm going to tell the story of anti-bullying through the gameplay itself, by having the bully chase the player, as well as the player saving friends and gaining new abilities as they save these friends. And as I mentioned, using Unity, there's an image. So first thing I started doing when I got all my team together and working on the game is the concept of the hero. This is the original concept. When I talked to Andrew Fishback, I told him anti-bullying. So in his mind, he's like, okay, I'm thinking classrooms and lockers and hallways and all that. That wasn't what was on my mind, but that was in his mind. And so he gave me this, and I didn't really like it. The character doesn't look he doesn't really stand out. Plus, let's be real, he kind of looks like he has a receding hairline. And not only that, but I didn't want to use a human for a character, because when you have a human for a character, you're identifying a gender and ethnicity, and that might create a disconnect between the player and the character. So I asked him make a humanoid shape that is not a human. So this is what Andrew eventually came up with, and this is what we call Blockman. I asked him to use orange because orange is a very neutral color. It's neither specified as being a male or female color like blue or pink, but so we went with orange. And here's another image of him running. And we did go through a few variations. These are some of the other variations. I thought, let's try making one eye bigger than the other, because kids who have something weird about them, like they have big ears or something, they'll get picked on. So I figured, let's make something weird about him, but it just looked a little too weird. So I figured as long as he's small, smaller than the bully, then that's enough reason for him to get picked on by the bully. So next is the bully. This is the original design, slightly bigger, red, because that's a meaner color. Bullies think camouflage is cool, so he's wearing camouflage pants. And the original idea is that he's going to be running and chasing the player through certain segments of the game. That eventually changed because I realized it's very hard to make the bully run in a specific path and jump in specific parts and have that all animated and work well gameplay-wise. So I decided let's make him fly instead. And at that point, Andrew changed him to be literally twice the size of the player, got rid of the camouflage because it's easier to animate. And how is he going to fly? The original idea was either a jetpack or a hoverboard. We didn't really use that idea at the end, because when I was making the earlier versions of the game and playtesting it with some of my playtesters, I used this image right here for the placeholder image, just to show that, okay, this is a bully, he's going to be chasing you. He wasn't fully animated, and I let the playtesters know that this is just a placeholder. And when Andrew saw this, he thought it was really creepy and cool, and it reminded him of Magneto. So we eventually made him have this big orb around him, like Magneto from the X-Men. So that way, it explained why he's flying, because he has like these incredible powers. Plus, it also made his hitbox bigger, because previously the players would literally just jump over the bully and let him just go through. So with him being this much bigger, the players can no longer jump over him, and it just looked really cool. So after we had the concepts down, I started storyboarding everything from beginning to end, the entire game. And this is kind of hard to see, but I just put up a couple examples of, I took graphing paper and just drew out every single level, and I met up with Matt Powers, and we talked through the entire game, explaining, okay, this is what's going to go throughout the entire game, what the player is going to feel. You get introduced to jumping. This is going to train the player to jump, and then it's going to test the player at their skills. And then I do the same thing with every other ability and game mechanic. Introduce something, test them. Introduce something, test them. So it goes from somewhat easy to a little bit more difficult in those intervals, just to train the player. And then I got the ending, which I storyboarded as well, but you don't want to see that right now because you want to play the game and see it for yourself. So anyways, after I drew everything out, I wanted to start prototyping. So basically, a prototype is, I want to get the game mechanics down. So obviously, as you can see, this is just a bunch of blocks and the player. And I put the character as placeholder for the friends because I didn't have the friends drawn out yet. And I wanted to test out if the game mechanic of collecting the friends and gaining the abilities will work, and it did work. And I have those purple walls for wall jumping, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Features, glitches, and featured glitches. So what I wanted to happen in the game is I want jumping, I want double jumping, I want wall jumping. And for those of you who are not familiar with wall jumping is when you jump off one wall to the other and you go back and forth. I have it marked out because it wasn't working. It was a glitch. The wall jumping was terrible. What would happen is that the player was not going higher as they jump back and forth, but if the player was up against the wall and just kept pressing jump, they would launch up like a rocket. So I made a featured glitch. I called it wall boosting. I couldn't fix it, so why try to waste more time fixing something that was kind of cool anyways. So I decided I'm going to make this part of the game and design some of the levels to utilize it. So there's wall boosting shown in the game where you'll just launch up these purple walls. So after I got that down, I started building the game together. This is a screenshot of Unity. I have like every single tile used in the game down in the bottom, and I pretty much click and drag them onto the scene and connect them together. I have a script in Unity. By default, Unity will not snap them to a grid, but I downloaded a script from online that allowed me to do that, and it made it much easier to put the game together. And this is just a quick screenshot of Playmaker, just to show this is how I program the game, because as I mentioned, I'm not a programmer. I do know some programming, but doing something like this, where I'm basically connecting these blocks together, saying, okay, after this state, go to this state, and then go to this state, and then go to this state, it's much easier for a person like me who is not that great of a programmer. So level design. I want to talk about the tone of the game that I intentionally put together as you progress through the game. You start off in level 1, and it's bright and colorful. Next level, you go underground, similar to Mario, you go underground, it gets a little darker. And then by level 3, this is the first bully chase, it gets very dark. So I intentionally progress the game darker and darker to show that it's getting more dangerous. Once you escape that first bully, it gets a little brighter, not like level 1 though, but you're still underground. And then you get above ground once you start gaining the friends, everything is bright and sunshiny again by level 5. And then at the end of level 5, you see these dark clouds. And then level 6, you're back to the final bully chase. So this is an intentional design that I wanted to implement to show it's getting darker, more dangerous. Now you're with friends and you're safe again. So playtesting and revising. Basically, I had to playtest the game many times, even when it wasn't even complete. If I had like one level complete, I had to have people play it to tell me what's wrong with the game. For example, one of the very earliest builds of the game, these were the falling blocks, the falling platforms that you would jump on and then they would eventually drop, and it looked similar to the rest of the ground. I eventually changed it to these Donkey Kong looking construction beams that have arrows pointing down, showing that they will fall down after you jump on them. And there are other beams that point to the right, showing that they're going to move right when you land on them. Other changes I just want to go through real quick because I don't have time to go into detail with all of them. I made rotating blocks into hazards because originally I had these platforms that would spin around. And they weren't a hazard at first. You were able to land on the sides and the bottom if it's upside down or tilted, but you weren't able to jump. My intention was that I wanted the player to jump on the top and wait for it to face right side up. that didn't work out because players would just jump on the side and basically cheat. They would wait for it to line up, and then they would jump off it. So I made it a hazard eventually, and the second one shows it, being hazardous, but it just didn't match the rest of the style. It looked way too detailed to match the rest of the style. So I just went with the darker colored dirt, just to indicate that it's darker, it's more dangerous. I tripled the size of level 5 because level 5 used to take only a few seconds to beat, but yet people thought it was really fun because it utilized the wall boosting. And so I tripled the size of that level, and people really liked that level. I adjusted the bully's animation quite a few times. I added a lot more checkpoints, and I made stage 6 easier because at stage 6 was, to me, I thought it wasn't hard because of the fact that I knew what to do, but a lot of people would overshoot their jumps because at that point their jumps were really big. They had double jumping, they're flying all over the place. So I just made it a little easier in case people are flying all over the place. A few roadblocks I had. I felt like this dude for quite a while. I mean, I got to the point where I'd get so many technical issues that I'd get so frustrated that I don't know how to fix it. So just a few that I want to name off. How do I get the bully to follow the player? I just made an animation. I just made one string for him to follow, and that was basically it. Because originally I was thinking of programming him to follow the player literally, like go towards the player wherever they go. How do I trigger the bully chase? At first, I wanted to make a point where if the player stands on this spot, the player will stop, a cutscene will play out where the bully would come down and start chasing the player, but that was not working. I could not figure out how to do that, so instead I just made the bully chase right off the bat, right as soon as the level loads up. How to activate an animation when the bully catches the player, because I have an animation when the bully catches the player, he's harassing the player, and I didn't know how to get that to work like right off the spot. So instead, if the player gets caught by the bully, I loaded up a new level which just plays this animation, and then after they press any key again, it will load up that level again. So it was kind of a cheap trick, but it got what I wanted to do. The Roadblocks animation's not working right, sound's not working right. How do I animate the ending? And what I just did a lot of close-ups to the characters, and it ended up working pretty well. So really quick, I want to give my thanks. I'm a religious person, so I gotta thank God for getting me here and graduating and getting this completed. I want to thank my parents. They took me in and they let me move back in so I can focus on school instead of work full time and juggle school. I want to thank my teammates Andrew and Nathan for helping me out. I want to thank my mentors Michelle, Matthew, and Travis for helping me with this. All of my playtesters, I really appreciate all of them giving me feedback on how to balance the game. Because when I play the game, I play it so many times, I get really good, and I don't know if it's easy or hard. So I gotta get the feedback from my players to let me know if it's too easy or too hard. And I want to thank all of my friends just for supporting me. So thank you for coming to this presentation. Please check out the game if you haven't already. It is in room 271 on the other side of this floor. And thank you. Here's Twinkle, Dinkle, and Big Pink next to Blockman.